い打ち抜け真空召喚いでよレベル8バレルロードサベージドラゴン
Before the video starts, about 98% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing and clicking that bell does help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. This is going to round out the videos for this week. This is going to be Rokket Orcust. I had a couple people request it. I looked in on my own time, and I kind of brewed this myself. I didn't really look at any outside resource. So this is kind of like my own thing. So I'm unsure whether how this looks comparative to other Rokket Orcust deck profiles, but this is what I got. Primarily what we want to be doing is we're just going through our main Orcust game plan via our Orcust cards, but we do also have the additions of Rokkets in order to try and get additional bodies on board in order to start our link plays, in order to diversify our end board by letting us go into Warlord Savage, Boral End Dragon, Chaos Angel, and Bystial Dissipator. We can make a Bystial Dissipator off of one quick launch and then any card on field, and we can make a Dissipator. So just giving Orcust the access to these cards, I believe, is the main reason of putting this in. It does give us a bunch of extra extenders too. Rocket Caliber is just a free extender, and so is Quick Launch in terms of Orcust. Rocket Recharger can be useful, especially if you're doing Rocket Tracer plays on your own, like Galatea, for example. And Explode a Rocket Dragon is the way we get into Bystial Dissipator through Rocket Tracer. But that's enough talking about the deck overview. Let's go through the card by card. Starting with the Orcusts, we are on triple Dingirsu the Orcust Mekhnite on normal or special. We'll send an Orcust or World Legacy card from deck to grave, and then it can become a tuner if there are 2 or more cards in the column when you activate that effect. If you control no other monsters, you can make a token at both sides of the field. It's a level 1 Machine Dark. You can only use each effect once per turn. This card can set up your full Orcust combo by yourself by normal summoning this, sending your Harpor, making a token for your opponent, and then making a Galatea after making a Link Rebo. That's your full Orcust combo, because we do have the Harpor in grave as well. However, allowing us to add the Rokkets into there means the tuner aspect of the Dingirsu may be coming up more frequently than previously anticipated for Orcust pilots. We're on 1 World Legacy World 1, the Honorary Orcust. If it's in the grave, you can banish it to target a banished Orcust and special summon it. We are on 2 Orcust Nightmare, so we can have repeatability. We are on 1 Harpor, because we can only play 1. We are on 2 Symbol Skeleton, again for repeatability and consistency in finding cards in our hand. We are playing Link into the Vrains, as you saw in the previous Mekhnite Orcust deck profile about 2 days ago. This is also very powerful with our Rokkets. Even if we've used our Rocket Caliber effect to summon from hand, we can still special summon it with Link into the Vrains, and we can go either into a Striker Dragon, or we can link into something else. The fact that Striker Dragon's a Link 1 means Link into the Vrains works very well with any of our Rokkets, functionally saying special summon a Rocket from your hand and make a Striker Dragon which your opponent can't interact with. So Link into the Vrains, I think, is just still crazy. It lets us get our World Wand and Nightmare out of our hand if they're stuck there. Even our Explode a Rocket Dragon too, we just need to be able to link them off into something. But all of our stuff has graveyard effects, so we don't really care for the on-field effects, especially for the Orcusts. Lastly, our Honorary Orcust Tier Limit Sheeran. Now onto Rockets. Rocket Tracer, quick effect. Target a face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon a Rocket monster from your deck except Rocket Tracer, and you can't special from the extra except for Darks. I see the synergy here with the Rockets and the Orcusts. Orcusts all Dark lock you, and the Rocket Tracer extra deck locks you into Darks. So functionally, by playing the Rocket Tracer and the Orcusts, you're functionally making there be no downside as well as allowing you to play tuners outside of Brass Bombard and praying to God for the Dingirsu tuner effect. So I do see the synergies here, especially with Warlord Savage being very powerful. So yeah, we're on triple Rocket Tracer, level 4 tuner, just very powerful. We can summon it again off Link into the Vrains, we can summon it off Caliber, we can summon it off of Boot Sector Launch, we can summon it off of Quick Launch. Now onto Caliber. You can special summon this card from your hand to a zone of dark link monster points to. You can only summon it once per turn that way. You can tribute it to special summon a dark dragon or machine monster from your hand, except for Rokket Caliber. This card is what I think holds the deck together. That's why we're playing 3 of it. It special summons a machine. It doesn't just summon any of your Rokkets. It'll summon any of your Orcusts. It'll functionally summon any of your cards in your deck that can't summon themselves typically. So this card is just crazy. It's also a level 4 tuner. We can summon it off of Tracer. If we need a pop Tracer to summon the Caliber, we can do that if needed, if our opponent tries to interact with the Tracer in a way that we don't like. So we are on triple Caliber. We are on 1 Recharger. If a dark monster you control, though, a special summon from the extra deck is destroyed by a card effect, you can send this card from your hand and field to the grave. Trigger one of those destroyed monsters. Special summon 1 dark monster from your graveyard with a different original name from that targeted monster. You don't use the effective Rokket Recharger once per turn. This is just kind of like a backup way to maybe, if we don't really end off our combo very well, we get Dingirsu and Grave, but we can't get Babble up. If we can end on like an IP, if our opponent destroys our IP, we can still bring our Dingirsu back with the Rokket Recharger effect, because it doesn't actually special summon a Link monster specifically with its effect. This, however, is more in... this one is kind of more for just having an extra Rokket Tracer target in the main deck that isn't a tuner and a 4. So this is a 4 non-tuner Rokket Tracer target, and it's the only one in the deck. So it also has a secondary effect where once per turn, while you control dark monster special summon from the extra deck, your opponent monster can't target this card for card attacks. So it's very relevant, obviously. Next, Exploder Rocket Dragon. This is a 7. That's the reason we're playing it. It's a 7 and has Rocket in the name that we can summon off a Rokket Tracer. When a Link monster's effect is activated that targets its face-up card on the field, quick effect destroy this, and then each player takes 2k. During the end phase of this card in the grave, it was destroyed on field by a battle or card effect and sent there, you can special summon a Rokket monster from your deck. So this isn't impossible to trigger on your own. You can use your own Borland Dragon, actually play like the Rocket strategy and destroy your own Exploder Rocket Dragon to burn your opponent, maybe for lethal if you don't quite finish them. It's niche, but it is just here so we can make the Bystial Dissipator. That's its only purpose. It's also kind of like big. It's 2k, not awful. On to Bystials. This is going to be start of our hand trap lineup. These are all cards. All these cards I've mentioned are cards you can side out depending on the matchup. So I'm going to start mentioning which cards you can and can't side out. So these are cards that you'd be wanting to side out. You'd maybe consider also siding out Exploder Rocket Dragon. Maybe an extra Symbol Skeleton, depending on which ones, like how consistent and how good you're feeling about the deck. But I believe Bystial, Magnemut through like Ash Blossom are like hand traps you can choose to side out depending on matchups, and then other cards in the deck, we can go over them as we come. So we're on 1 Magnemut. We are running dragons, so we want to search dragons, and then why not just play good hand traps that work well, Synchro Climbing and the Dark Pool, that are also just very powerful in combination with the Orcusts. Like so, we are on 1 Magnemut, 2 Baldrake, and a Druis Worm. All these cards allow us to go into Chaos Angel, so we can include that in the extra. We are also on hand traps of triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. We're not too concerned about lights or darks here, no Cartesia Engine, so we can just play one of the better hand traps in Ash Blossom. Next, Thrust. We can take out Thrust if we think our opponent, if we're going to be going first and we're not afraid of hand traps, we can take out Thrust. So that's something we can also take out. But we're on double Thrust, and put this right over here. And then for our Thrust targets, we have Foolish Burial, Triple Tactics Talent, and Link into the Vrains. We have 3 different powerful cards that can basically start our combos off by themselves. So that's why we're playing a 2 Thrust and 1 Tactics. Next, 1 Droplet. This is just kind of our one of just if you draw it, you draw it card, to be honest. It's just here to fill a slot. It works very well with both these strategies, putting dragons in grave for the Graveyard Resurrection effect of Boot Sector Launch, or for Striker Dragon to grab them back, and putting the Orcusts in grave. It's where they want to be. So we are on 1 of this. We're siding the other 2. We are one call by the grave and triple quick launch. The main rocket starter isn't once per turn, so we are maxing out on it. One boot sector launch, so we do search it in our rocket combo. However, we are not planning on ending the turn with this on board. We are planning on ending on a Babel or a Crescendo. If we do end on Crescendo, we can have this on board. But if we choose on Babel, then not so much. Alrighty, so that was the main deck. We can also side out Orcust Crescendo and the boot sector launch as well. We can also side out the call by and the droplets, and even into the Vrains if like really feeling like it's not performing up to our standards, we can change this out. We have a very flexible side deck, so we are able to do so. And Crescendo, we obviously might want to sign out if we're going second because it's a counter trap, so we'd have to wait 2 full turn cycles in order for this card to functionally do anything, so we don't even want to draw it or see it in the deck. Sure, we're getting rid of a piece of negation that we can use for the grind game. However, it's kind of you have to really make choices when you're siding, and Orcust Crescendo is typically one of the cards that goes out. Extra deck. We are on 1 Link Rebo for our Girsu. We are on 1 Striker Dragon for our Rokkets. That's it for the Link 1s, now Link 2s. IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight. I'm not going to cover these too in depth. We are on 2 Galatea, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Longirsu, an Access Code Talker, a Boral and Dragon, 2 Dingirsu. I do like playing 2. I did get a comment. I like playing 2 personally just because sometimes it'll come places, especially now that a lot of people are playing the Bystials. If they, like, for example, banish your Dingirsu when you try and assemble Skeleton and you have just a Galatea on board, you can just slap the one in your extra right on top. Like, sometimes people aren't expecting the second one, so they will just assume since you're trying to reborn the graveyard one, you don't have a second one. It lets you outmaneuver your opponents if you play 2, and it plays well into the grind game. Oftentimes, you're going to be making 2 throughout the game or have the ability to, so instead of recycling that graveyard resource, why not get the second Dingirsu out to just make it even more of a headache? Because it's not Mirror Jade. You can control more than 1 Dingirsu. If you bring out the second Dingirsu while the first one's still engraved, you can just keep it on board with the material attached to just protect your field, which is just very valuable, I believe. Now on to our synchros. We have 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, what is the Rokket archetype without their signature synchro boss monster. When it's synchroed, you equip a link to it as material, as an equip. You put counters on it, equal to the rating, and gains attack, and then it has negates equal to the counters on it. We are on Chaos Angel. We don't have any lights in this deck, it's just going to be darks. This is for the case if we have like a Girsu or any one of our level 4 monsters, plus a Bystial, and we just want to put like a dark monster on board that I believe can't be destroyed by battle. It makes all of our stuff indestructible by battle, as well as banishing a card. So it's just another form of removal. And then lastly, our Bystial Dissipator works very well with our Orcusts. You can target one of your banished lights or darks, special summon it to your field. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can target 1 banished card, shuffle it into your deck, and then if you shuffled it into your deck, destroy that monster. Or if you shuffled it into your opponent's deck, negate that activated effect. You can only use each of the Bystial Dissipator once per turn. Speaking of this card, tangent time. With Orcusts now, there's a different mentality you need to be thinking about when you're playing with the Orcusts now, and that is Bystials. A lot of times when you're playing with Bystials and your opponents are playing with Bystials, it's a game of chicken somewhat, because you don't want to waste your materials if your opponent's just going to banish your stuff that you're going to target anyway. And you're kind of always going to be on the back foot for the most part if you're going to be trying on your turn, since you have player priority. If you have a monster and they don't, you're going to activate it, your Bystial, at ignition speed, and they're just going to chain to your Bystial, and you're never going to win that. So what you can do in this deck is you can basically really suggest them to Bystial some cards, which maybe they don't want to be using a Bystial on. Let's say, for example, you have a Symbol Skeleton in graveyard, you have a Girsu in your hand, and then you have a Bystial in your hand as well. And you normal summon the Girsu, you activate the Girsu, you send World Wand to your grave. You make your token, you make the Link Rebo, you make the Galatea, sure. Now you activate your Bystial, you banish your Symbol Skeleton, and your opponent will banish your Symbol Skeleton to get their Bystial on board. So now they've wasted their Bystial, you still have your Bystial, and then you can activate World 1, target the skeleton to put that on your board. So now it's not engraved, it's on board. You haven't used the skeleton effect yet. You just came out winning in that situation. I think with the Bystials, it really just enables a nice axis of Orcust gameplay, especially with the World Wand. The World Wand is what really does it in allowing you to play around Bystials, but Bystial Dissipator also lets you do it. That's why I like the Dissipator in this deck, because it really lets you just not care about your stuff getting banished. I'm going to activate a Symbol Skeleton. I'm going to target my Dingirsu to special summon it from my grave. My opponent tries to Bystial me. I say, sure. They Bystial the Dingirsu, and then I just bring it right back with Dissipator and activate its effect. Just a very, very powerful card. Side tangent over. I apologize for how long that took. Now onto the side deck. If we're going second, we have Nibiru's. We have 2 Pankratops if we're against a back row deck, and we have 2 Fenrir's if we're against a monster deck. Pankratops just able to pop back rows, while Fenrir not really able to. Fenrir is also an option for us to side in when we're going first, since we can just special summon it from our hand. It's a free extender, and it can just serve as a part of our end board. We are on a triple Droll and Lockbird, not necessarily going first or going second card specifically. This card is just incredibly powerful in the format, and I think it just deserves a spot in the side deck almost no matter what. It doesn't really hurt our deck too bad, especially since we're playing like Orcust, and Orcust doesn't care about Droll really, so we're all good on that front. There are other 2 droplets if we need to be breaking boards. There are 2 Twin Twisters for breaking back row boards, Twin Twister just being so powerful in Orcust. And then lastly, for back row, we have 2 evenly matched as well as for build-a-board strategies too. Evenly matched pairing very well with Droplet and those against those build-a-board strategies. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you still are, keep an eye out for next week. I'm going to be putting another poll, and I have a big video announcement, I guess. Series. I have a series coming out next week, so keep an eye out for that. It's probably to be on Saturday, I believe, of next week, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.